Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a book haul for you. I have a lot of fantasy romance, I have some historical romance, some contemporary romance, and just some adult fantasy. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to share, let me get my stacks in order. Let's get into the adult fantasy books that I have here. Oh, I see a couple more. I'm gonna have to grab. So I've got not a ton of these. There's one thriller in here. So I don't remember if I showed you guys this one or not. This is The Jasmine Throne. This is an adult fantasy. I believe this is based in Indian culture and mythology in that way, and so I'm very, very excited about that. And I think that this is sapphic. I don't know if it's, I don't imagine it's super heavy on the romance because it's an adult fantasy published by Orbit, but you know, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. And then okay, so I have tried this author before, and I found her writing to just be so unbearably pretentious in Alone with You in the Ether. I just, you know, to me it feels like there's a very fine line between beautiful prose and prose that is really doing something that is really meaningful, or even like a stylistic type of prose where the author is really choosing how to put words together. There's a fine line between that and pretentiousness, you know? And I feel like Olive Blake goes way hard on the pretentious side of things. But I was at a little bookshop. I really wanted to get a book, and this was the only one that I was like very intrigued with. So I want to give her another chance. I know this one is super hyped up. I feel like I want to give her writing another chance. So we'll see. We'll see what I think about it. Okay, and then I also went to this other little bookshop, which I want to do a video going down there because it's so freaking cute. I found this little used bookstore that is not in my town, but pretty close by. They had a treasure trove of mass market paperbacks, but I didn't find any that day that I needed or wanted, but I did find this. This is an adult fantasy, and this is an interesting one because it's supposed to be, Merlin's sister, I believe, in like an alternate story of what happened with King Arthur and Merlin, and I'm always interested in that storyline. I think it's really fascinating, so excited about that one. Okay, and then this one was sent to me by a friend on TikTok. It is The Spell Shop. I just feel like this is such a beautiful book. It has beautiful sprayed edges. The illustration on there is so freaking pretty. And this is cozy fantasy, and I feel like Erin was telling me she really liked this one. Oh, whoops, there goes my thank you note. So I think she's a librarian and her assistant is a magically sentient spider plant. It just sounds really fun, and it looks really fun, and I feel like fall is the perfect time for cozy reads, so. Alright, and then, what else did I have here? Kazi is chewing on a bone and making lots of noises, so there's probably a ton of cuts in this video. And then I was just in Park City over the weekend, and I found this had come out in paperback. This is the sequel to She Who Became the Sun, which was one of my favorite books I read this year. I loved it so freaking much. So this is an Asian-inspired historical fantasy. It is pretty brutal. The first book was pretty brutal. Not exactly a Mulan retelling, but sort of those vibes. And I really am excited about this one, so very hyped about that one. And then I have a thriller that was sent to me. This is a thriller author that I've heard a lot of. I feel like I've even heard a lot of buzz about this book specifically that people really, really are liking. I Was a Teenage Slasher. This was sent to me by Saga Press, and I'm very grateful for that. This is a finished copy. It's out now, so I can't wait to read this fall. I definitely am going to get to this because that's cozy reads or thriller reads. That's what fall is for, right? Okay, so that is all of the fantasy and the one thriller, the adult fantasy. I have Romantasy to get to too, so let me put these away and then I will return. Alright, so now let's get into the historical romance and contemporary romance. So I did pick this up. I went to the romance bookstore near me in Salt Lake, the Lovebound Library, and I was just browsing there with my son and his girlfriend who's recently gotten into reading romance books, and I was having a great time, and I wasn't sure what to pick out there because I was really wanting a Romantasy, but I didn't love the selection that they had. So I did find a contemporary too. I actually found two contemporaries, so I'll show you those next in this little haul. But she had said, my son's girlfriend said she wanted to try a historical, so I grabbed a couple Tessa Dare, and she chose the Duchess deal, and I picked this Amelie Howard, which I had not heard of and haven't read, so I'm excited about this one. And then the contemporaries that I got while I was there, the contemporary romances that I got, is Only and Forever by Chloe Leese. I love Chloe Leese, and this is, I believe, the last book in the Bergman Brothers series, so I'm super stoked about that. And then I also grabbed the 7-Year Slip, which I have heard great things about, and I'm very, very excited about this one, and I just feel like I'm going to love it. I feel like so many people have said this is their favorite book of the year, last year, this year, and I am very hyped about it, so excited about that one. Okay, and then I have, let's see. So this one was sent to me by Valentine PR. This is Wedding the Wide Receiver by Lisa Suzanne. This, I don't know exactly when this was released, but it's out now. And it looks like this is, she's married to her sister's pro football player ex-fiance. Her vicious hangover might have something to do with it. Okay, that sounds pretty fun. Tropes are accidental marriage, fake marriage, professional football, siblings, ex, Vegas wedding, contemporary romance, sports romance. So that sounds great. That really does sound great. Okay, Wedding the Wide Receiver, the Nash Brothers. I haven't read this author. I haven't read any of the other ones in the series, but it sounds like it will be really fun. And then, let's see. Where is that? Okay. Hold on. I forgot. I did a lot of book shopping this month, probably too much. So 2 books that I bought myself that I've already read but I needed physical copies of are King of Greed by Anna Huang. This is my favorite book by Anna Huang by far. This is Second Chance, Marriage in Trouble. Oh, I love this book so much. I talk about it all the time, and I did not own a physical copy. So now I do, and I'm happy about that because I needed to have this book. I love it. I love it so much. And then the other book that I bought that I also love is Unsteady by Peyton Curran. This is a new adult hockey romance that is very emotional, and I adore this book. One of my favorite romances I've read this year, and I needed a physical copy really, really badly. So, okay, so now I also went to I took a little trip when my boys were out of town. I was home alone, and I went to a bookstore, a different Barnes & Noble than I usually go to, and I was browsing their romance section. They had a pretty good selection of romances, but I saw this one, and it immediately caught my eye. The Next Best Fling by Gabriella Gamez. I apologize if I am not pronouncing that right, but this one sounds so cute because it says she is a librarian who's been secretly in love with her best friend for years. He gets engaged. She knows it's time to move on. She attends the engagement party, but she discovers she's not the only one with an unrequited crush. She may have it bad for the groom-to-be, but his hot ex-NFL brother Theo Young has it even worse for the bride. Before either of them knows exactly what they're doing, they agree to get over their heartbreak by fake dating. Only the attraction between them doesn't feel remotely like pretending. That sounds so freaking cute. I just saw this. I love the cover art. I love this cover art. I think it's so beautiful. And I was just like, yeah, I need to get that. So I bought this on impulse. I think I had seen the cover around, but I never heard anybody really talk about it. And then I saw this there on their shelves, and let me just tell you, I love Karen Marie. I don't know if you say her name Moaning or Moaning. I always said it Moaning. She is one of the first authors that I read that I feel like I haven't talked about hardly at all when I was getting into like adult paranormal romance, even though I would call this urban fantasy for sure. So I read this series, the original, I think 5, before she did the original that features this character, Mac. So I think that's 5. I think that's 5 books in that series. I read that originally from the library years and years and years ago, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And I saw this on the shelf, and I was like, I want to collect these, and I want to reread them. So I got it. And I'm very excited about it. Maybe I'll read this fall as well. So many fall reading plans, right? Okay. Okay, so now we are into the Romantasies. It's a big stack of books. Okay. A lot of these are books that I've already read and loved and wanted trophy copies of. So one of them is Quicksilver. I read this. I had very mixed feelings about some parts of this, but I overall really enjoyed this. And to me, this book really reminded me of what I loved so much about like the paranormal romance boom, the vampire boom. When that was when I feel like, you know, maybe was that around like 2010, 2012? I feel like that's when fantasy romance kind of really started to get a chokehold on people, because I was going through Goodreads and looking, and like I was looking for fantasy romance, and the only ones that you could really find were at that time, or that I had access to at least, because I was mostly reading from the library, were like vampires, and which was fine. I love those, but I wanted like something fantastical. So that's what this book gave me vibes of, and I just had a good time with it. So it's for sure not a perfect book, but I thought it was really fun and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would by the time I finished it. I really liked it, so I needed a physical copy. Okay, and then I bought these beauties, which I believe I've shared in a vlog. I bought the Kindred's Curse saga, the first 3 books in indie covers, because I have read book 1 and 2, and I love this series, and I heard the author just got picked up by Atria, I'm not sure how to say that, books traditionally published for this series, and they were going out of print, and I was like, okay, I need to have those, because I just had read them on audiobook and Kindle, so I bought them all. So we have Spark of the Everflame, which is the first, and then we have Glow of the Everflame, which is the second, and Heat of the Everflame, which is the third, which I have not read yet. So I love this series and I highly recommend it. I feel like it's really having a moment right now, but if you're looking for a really good fantasy romance series, highly recommend this one. Okay, and then I picked up The Road of Bones by Demi Winters. I read this earlier this year in like January or February. This is sort of like a Viking-inspired romance and a fantasy romance, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was very fun, very solid read. I had a good time with this one for sure. And I have a feeling that this is getting picked up, maybe, so I wanted to have the original covers. I feel like that's also mainly why I bought that edition of Quicksilver, because I know there's a different edition that just has like clip art, essentially it's graphic design. But I wanted that original cover because I'm like, I know for sure that's getting picked up. Like, I would be very surprised if it didn't. Okay, and then I picked up Bewitched. I also got this at that little used bookstore, so it was very cheap for me. It's pretty much brand new, but it was used. Someone just donated it, and I feel like this is a series that I really, really want to get into because I've read Lara Thalas's Bargainer series. I didn't love that, so I don't know why I think I'm gonna love this one, but I want to love it, and I bought it. And then I also bought this at that used bookstore, which is the Jasad Air, which I'm not entirely sure what this is about, but I know this is fantasy romance, and I've heard that the fantasy in here is really, really good and really solid, so that piques my interest a lot. Okay, and then this series I am low-key obsessed with. It is I don't even know what the series is called. I'm super bad at remembering series names. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, I found it. This is the Order and Chaos series. So I believe this is I'm not sure if this is a completed series. I haven't really looked into it, but these 2 characters, this couple, I believe their arc is finished now because they do have a happily ever after in book 2. I just read this and really enjoyed it, but like, look at the cover. Not the cover, but look at the interior art. Can you see that? I'm not sure how to show y'all this beautiful cover art. Not cover art, interior art. My goodness, what is wrong with my brain? So anyway, again, this is a book series that I really enjoyed, and I've kind of been wanting to rearrange my shelves and put some more fantasy romance on there because I don't really own hardly any fantasy romance physical copies. I almost always read them either audio or Kindle, and the ones that I really loved, I wanted to have physical copies of because I feel like I've missed out on that in the past, and then they get picked up by a traditional publisher, and I'm disappointed. So I bought that series. It's so fun. I really like it. And then this is the last book in this haul. Embers in the Snow is a vampire fantasy romance. I just read this off of the recommendation of Jen from the Book Refuge, and let me just tell you, I freaking adored this. This is vampires exactly how I want them. I love this vampire hero. He is thirsty only for her blood. Like, her blood really does things to him, and I love that trope. And I just love vampires, so this was fantastic. I needed the physical copy because I loved it. So, alright, there you have it. There is this book haul. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have made it this far, please leave me a stack of books emoji or a fox emoji, and I'll see y'all in my next video.